Hello everyone, I hope you all had, if you're in the United States watching my video, a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday. Getting into all the holiday seasons here, a lot of soccer starting to wrap up, and we'll start doing that here on the program as well. We are here also looking towards 2024, and based on what happened this past week in the international window, what lies ahead in the Nations League and soon in the Copa America is all in front of us. I know in the last video, and most people certainly feel the same way, the disappointment of the loss to Trinidad and Tobago. Although, looking at what else happened in CONCACAF, this could have been a lot worse. I guess it's one way to spin it. It could be better. Look, the USA, if you take away the images of what we saw, and it wasn't pretty, from Sergiño Dest's meltdown to relinquishing a one-goal advantage and doing it way too quickly, the goal was qualify for the Nations League, qualify for the Copa America, check, check. And the USA did that. Canada did not. But we'll put it this way, 4 teams that represented CONCACAF in the last World Cup, 4 teams that did, 2 did not make it to the Nations League semifinals and still have to work to make the Copa America. It almost was 3. We all watched Mexico. It appeared that they would have to go through the Nations League qualifier to make the Copa America and miss the Nations League semifinals. We'll get into that in a little bit. So the USA were treading above water when it came to that mess. CONCACAF, I don't know if it's getting more competitive or maybe the top is dropping a bit. The US, in the big picture of thing, performed better than just about anyone else, really, other than Panama, who we'll talk about in a moment. Here on the Soccer OG, I forgot that button down there. Let me fix that. Check out the Soccer OG podcast. All podcasts are available. New one coming out this week. Check out the one with Tactical Manager. Check out the entire library. It's all there for your listening. And we will start looking towards what's happening here in 2024. A lot to look forward to. We hope the team certainly starts to perform the way we think and know they are capable of. And like and subscribe our videos here. We appreciate you tuning in. Leave a comment if you've left a comment before, I'll respond to them, whether you do it on YouTube, whether you're doing it on one of my social media handles, Max Bretos Sports on X, and M. Bretos on Instagram. Give me an idea for a video. I'll be happy to do it. I've done it in the past. So let's get into it. The Nations League, we'll start with the Nations League because that's going to take place in March. So the big 2 tournaments, 2 of the 3 big tournaments here in 2024, the Nations League semifinals, which the U.S. have won the last 2, will occur in March in Arlington, Texas at Jerry's World. USA will face Jamaica. Panama will take on Mexico. And then you have the Copa America, which will take place in June. And they have announced the pot. So that's the big news that we want to kind of get into. And the draw will take place in Miami on December the 7th. The final is going to be in Miami, which was big news. It certainly told you that Miami is becoming a more and more important destination when it comes to how we do business in the United States. All eyes are turning to Miami, even though it's a smaller place. It's a small city in the big picture of things. But, the Argentine training facility, Lionel Messi's there. That's going to continue. We know FIFA's moving some of their business offices there. Miami's where it's at. So we've got to embrace that because that's part of the United States. It's my former hometown, too. So I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to see that occur. And hosting a major final was certainly going to be in the cards. It would have been unheard of a few years ago, but it's happening now. We do know the pots before the draw. And remember, in March, I want to do the Nations League first, but I'm trying to do the news in order. So the four teams in the semifinals that will be playing for the Nations League, I gave you the matchups. And then you have the other 4 that will be playing to qualify for the Copa America. So the Copa America, you have 10 teams from South America and 6 from CONCACAF. 4 from CONCACAF, the 4 winning Nations League semifinals are in. That leaves Canada to face Trinidad and Tobago, and Costa Rica to face Honduras. The winners will join the other 4. The Copa America draw December the 7th. So that's something that we will talk about when it happens. It can be interesting. I even, as a result of the pots, which was determined by FIFA World Cup rankings. The first pot is Mexico, USA, Argentina, and Brazil. Those are the 4 teams that are highest ranked in amongst those teams that will be participating in Copa America. And that is great, right? I mean, that kind of tells you that CONMEBOL needs CONCACAF. It's not 4 South American teams that are highest in the FIFA rankings. It's 2 from South America. It's 2 from North America. We are stronger together. Remember the play King Lear, Shakespeare? You know, the families, and the father said, we're stronger together, and then the kids did their own thing, and it was a mess. We're stronger together. South America, North America, and the Caribbean. So I think that's a good sign. CONMEBOL knows it. They're not dumb. They're saying, hey, USA and Mexico are highly ranked. They are very lucrative spots. This is going to be a success. So it's good, fine bedfellows. I don't know if that means that this strengthens this relationship. I hope it does. I have a feeling it might. But I don't think we can expect the Copa America to be a 16-team tournament each time moving forward. CONCACAF has to protect their tournament, the Gold Cup, and their territory, so they're not going to jump in there because then you have all these CONCACAF people that are out of a job. So as much as we'd like to see it, and as great as it sounds, and this tournament's going to be amazing, because look, it's hard to get excited for a 10-team tournament in the Copa America. 10 teams. Everyone's expanding. Euros is 24 teams. World Cup is 48 teams. Women's World Cup is 32 teams. So the Gold Copa America, 10 teams. Just it's not keeping up with the times. So 16 teams is great. And it's a strong team. It's not all the CONMEBOL, it's not all the CONCACAF teams get in. You've really got to earn it. And this Nations League and the path, we're seeing it. And look, Costa Rica and Honduras should be there. Canada was a World Cup team. They're not there. So it's not that easy, as you might think. And that's a tip to the cap to CONCACAF. Sorry, that was a erroneous sound there. That happens. I'm not starting to re-record this by any means. So the pots are set. Pot 2 is Colombia, Uruguay, Peru, and Ecuador. Pot 3 is where you'll see some CONCACAF teams. And then pot 4. I did a fun little group that would be favorable for the U.S. So you want to avoid Colombia and Uruguay if you're the United States. So when that draw comes around, when their name comes up, you want to see, most likely you want to see Peru. So I put Peru in there. USA, Peru, Panama, Bolivia. How's that for a group? Without question, the United States hosting it are expected to make it out of the group. Probably expected to make a quarterfinal at the very least. And what we said about the USA's shortcomings, that happens when they're on the road. At home, they have been very strong. You can't take away from it. So they should do well. But you don't want Colombia, Uruguay in that first group. And that's a team the U.S. will be stretched to win. So we'll talk about the draw as we get closer to it, because draws are always fun, especially a 16-team draw. A draw wasn't fun when it was 10 teams, right? CONMEBOL? It's not. So we put the Copa America on the back burner. We're in, and we are seated in pot 1. Good news across the board for the United States. Let's get to the Nations League. I want to talk about Mexico because it looked like they were done and dusted. They scored a goal in the 111th minute to force extra time and then eventually beat Honduras in penalties. People were in uproar because they had 9 minutes stoppage time, which became 11. And this is a very interesting conversation because in reality, if you sat there and you looked at all the time wasting by Honduras every time the goalkeeper rolled around and took an extra 10 seconds, it probably led up to more than 9 minutes. The problem is, we very rarely see that happen in a game where a team is time wasting from the jump, right? So, I mean, MLS got a lot of criticism for having a best-of-3 playoffs. When you have a best-of-3, you take this away, right? This second leg just killing off time. So the referee said, and it was probably right. If you stopped it every time, it's probably 9 minutes. But we never see that. How many times have we seen a team wasting time, and then they lift the board and it says 4 minutes? It's a plan that works. It didn't work for Honduras this time. And I can understand why people are up in an uproar, just because it's never called that way. The referees don't add time. The timekeeping by referees is this big mystery, which is so frustrating in the modern game, because everything is getting modernized. VAR, we see everything. Yeah, some guy, they insist on keeping the clock. What they should do is stop the clock every time there's a stoppage for all of us to see. Will that day ever happen? Because it's clearly a rule where they want the referees to have some discretion. We don't know what's going on that clock. Why don't we know what's happening on that clock? Show us so we don't have to criticize you. Maybe one day. That's on my wish list. Show us what the clock looks like. There was a criticism about the Honduran keeper coming off his line. He was off his line. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. And this is the big picture. And Mexico fans were ripping me because I sent a tweet that said, I was pulling for Honduras, but it's better that Mexico makes it. They made it sound like I was saying there was some foul play here. But what I wanted to say is we need Mexico in the Nations League semifinals. We need Mexico in the Copa America. All this partnership stuff isn't going to work. Combined CONMEBOL, CONCACAF, Copa America doesn't work without Mexico. It doesn't. And if Mexico lost to Honduras and they had to go through that qualifier and play Costa Rica, that is not a slam dunk. Mexico could have been left out of this. And that's bad news for all of us. I know if you're a USA fan or a Canada fan or a Panamanian fan, you hate Mexico and you want to see them out. Nope, we can't afford that. We can't afford the Nations League semifinals to roll around at Jerry's World, one of these massive stadiums, and not have the huge Mexican crowd there. What would it have been? USA, Jamaica, it would have been half full, tops. Panama, Honduras, half full. You need Mexico there, or this can be downsized to play at the stadium in Frisco where FC Dallas play. I'm dead serious. Bad optics. You need Mexico. And you need Mexico in the Copa America because they are seeded and they're going to help build that interest. We can't do this without Mexico. That's just common knowledge. We can't continue this process of integrating with CONMEBOL without Mexico. It's a non-starter. So we should all be happy that Mexico qualified for the Nations League semis and Copa America. Both. So whatever happened in that Honduras game, water under the bridge. Sorry, Honduras. Hopefully you make it. We will see. It looks like, Canada is another one. Canada had it sealed up, and Jamaica came back in Canada to knock them out. And Canada's slipping. And they're not as essential as Mexico, but we need them too because they have Alphonso Davies and Jonathan David and Tejan Buchanan. They've just hit a hard time. We want Canada to make it, and Costa Rica, Honduras is a push. Both of them would be a good participant in the Copa America. But that second tier of Nations League, it makes it very exciting. I'm curious to see both those games and to see who will join the other 14 teams in the Copa America. So that March rundown is going to be riveting, no? And we'll see if the United States can win a third straight Nations League against a very plucky. This is a great day for Jamaica that they made this and the Copa America. We are going to look back in those Nation League matchups, the quarterfinals essentially. Such a huge payoff for winning. You get into two tournaments. Jamaica making the Nations League semifinals for the first time, playing in Jerry's World, and then parlaying that into the Copa America. Great news for Jamaica, great news for Panama, who I think have a shot of winning this Nations League semifinals. The United States will face Jamaica. I think Panama can get Mexico. They should have had them in the Gold Cup. Panama blew the doors off of Costa Rica. They have a team with a great coach in Thomas Christensen. They have some really good players that play so well collectively, young players, older players. I love Panama. They are on a rocket ship. I'm not going to say they're my pick. I think USA will be my pick because they're playing in the United States. And I haven't talked a lot about the USA, but we're not always talking about the US. Some good news, Christian Pulisic came back, played well for Milan. Hopefully he's there in March. We're going to take a break on this, and then we'll fire it up. Gio Reyna played a little bit for Dortmund, so good news there. We just need to get some depth, and we'll talk more about the USA effort, but I think we talked a lot about it after what happened against Trinidad and Tobago. So whatever you want to think about that result, they did enough to get through. But look, exciting days. 2 major competitions to get 2024 started, which will be here like this. And we'll be there along for the ride. The Soccer OG. Check out the Soccer OG podcast, where all podcasts are available. Check out the Soccer OG here on YouTube, this video and all the previous videos as we bring you all the good stuff. We'll be back here to get the reaction from the Copa America draw. We'll see you soon. Thanks for joining me.